Everywhere I look, it just seems like one person after the other is quitting reselling. Hello, my name is Karina. I am a full-time reseller. I don't even identify that as that anymore, but for the sake of this video, I am a full-time reseller. I also own my own brick-and-mortar consignment store. I've been reselling on and off in different capacities since 2012. I took the leap into full-time in 2019, and last year I opened my brick-and-mortar consignment store, Vibe Consignment, here in the Pacific Northwest. I've spent my entire 20s growing, building my reselling business and my platform on Instagram and here on YouTube. So I feel like I kind of have a good scope on the community, on the trends, on what's happening. And what I've been noticing lately is a lot of sellers, even like the bigger influencer type resellers, either stepping away from reselling completely or really downsizing and kind of readjusting their businesses. Some people are still reselling, but they are exploring other avenues of income or just having other things take up the priority space. And the same kind of falls for me. It's really weird in my instance just because I still technically am reselling, but in person versus online. And I do still sell on Poshmark, but it's at a way lesser scale. These are my numbers, to be quite frank with you, over the last year. They are not great. This has been the worst reselling year that I've had in my existence as a reseller online because my energy just hasn't been going towards it. I have other priorities that I am focusing on, like my storefront and just myself, honestly. I just think it's really interesting. Like, I have been noticing a definite like redirection away from the typical reselling path that I've had over the last decade, and I'm wanting to explore other aspects. Yes, I do own a store that does still resell, but this business looks a lot different than how I was doing it when I was running everything from home. What I'm seeing online is almost kind of like the downfall of the reseller community, which is so crazy because in 2019 I feel like that was like almost peak of reselling. Everyone was, you know, their biggest goals was to go full-time, to work from home, to open a warehouse, or to do all of these things. People were just going big, going ham on their reselling visions, and now it's like almost the complete opposite. Trust me, I have gone through so many paths of thinking that reselling was going to be it for me, and while it still is in a way, owning a brick and mortar store is a lot different than reselling online. I digress. That's a whole other topic for another day. Like I said, I've been seeing a lot of people downsizing, pivoting, leaning more on other streams of income, whether it is social media or they have another full-time job. I've seen a lot of full-time resellers have to get another job, whether it's part-time or full-time, in order to survive. And trust me, I don't blame you. I have been kind of like the primary breadwinner for my family. In the last year, my fiance has gotten like a full-time job, which helps so much, but I still am kind of like the primary breadwinner. And there's a lot of stress, especially if you're focusing mainly on like making sales online. There is so much stress and just like pressure to be successful. That kind of stress can lead to a lot of mental anguish, a lot of anxiety, a lot of like self-doubt as well. This is also another topic for another day, but in a way, reselling kind of ruined my life. Like, and this isn't a personal thing, right? I don't think that this is necessarily applicable to everybody. Maybe it does relate to you, and if so, like, girl, I'm right there with you. But just being part of the reseller community, comparing myself to other businesses, to other people on social media, really hurt me. And I'm just now in the process of kind of like learning how to trust myself again, learning how to not fall into that comparison trap and all of that. But reselling can take a toll in so many different ways, and I do believe that that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are stepping away. Actually, after seeing some people's posts and seeing how other people are reflecting on how the business has taken a toll on their mental health, I feel like there are a lot of people who would agree with me. On top of that, we have inflation, we have just how the economy is going, And I'm gonna be completely honest here, I do not have enough expertise, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have enough information on this topic in order to have an opinion or to even share anything on the internet. I do know that it is a big reason why we are seeing a struggle in our sales, why we are seeing a decrease in our sales. However, because I don't think I'm the right person to speak on that at this moment, I'm not going to. But I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any, you know, thoughts on whether or not you think that this is just a phase and that we're gonna pass and that it's gonna go back to normal, I'd love to hear it. What I can speak on, however, is that I've also noticed post-COVID, and I know we're a few years out of it already, but post-COVID, people are preferring to shop in store versus online. At least where I live, I've been noticing people just want to go out, they want to touch the clothes, they want to try on clothes, they want to do all of that, and so buying online just doesn't have the same appeal. On top of that, there have been such an influx, a rise of vintage shops, secondhand shops opening. So shopping secondhand in person is a lot more accessible than shopping online, which I know is kind of backwards, but at least that's just what I've seen a trend of. People would rather shop in person than online. I think like just post-COVID, things are going back to how they used to with a twist. Like instead of people going to malls, people are shopping secondhand, but they're doing it in person. So those are reasons why I think reselling on Poshmark, I should also disclose this, but I'm only speaking on Poshmark. I know that like eBay has been around for years and years and years and probably isn't gonna go anywhere because they just are a more stable market, but I just think Poshmark in general is and should be a side hustle. It should be a supplementary income stream, not a main source, not the full-on business. With my brick and mortar, there are definitely times of the year where there's nobody walking around. Like today is Friday and I've had 19 people walk into the store, which is very, very, very low, okay? Out of that 19 people, I've made 6 sales. On days like today, which unfortunately have been more frequent than others, I turn to Poshmark or I turn to other online reselling platforms to supplement the income that I'm losing from not having traffic around. There are so many factors that go into why I'm not seeing traffic in my store. It is it's fire season here in the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of smoke out. People are getting ready for back to school. People are going back to college. Like there are so many things. Regardless, Poshmark was intended to be for funsies. Like, oh, clear out things in your closet, not a full-on operation business. And this might be, you know, this might be a controversial opinion, but again, it's my opinion, and I think that it's going back to kind of that. Are people still seeing success with reselling? Yes, and I think that those people are incredibly smart. However, either they have a team, other sources of income, so there isn't a lot of pressure on having to make daily sales or anything like that, or they're able to like invest in higher quality items that give out like bigger returns on investment, or, and this is another controversial topic, they are burning themselves out. They might be successful now, but it's not a sustainable way. Like, and I'm talking specifically about like live sales. I just don't think that live selling is sustainable long term, especially when you're a one-person show. I just think it's a lot of work, and I've heard from people who were going that route who pivoted and changed their minds because they were just spending all their time on those live sales, even though like you felt like you made sales really quickly in that hour or 2 hours that you were live. Like there's still all the prep, there's still all the shipping, there's all the sourcing, having to keep all of those in, like keep that much inventory so that you can stay having those sales. It can be a lot financially, mentally, physically, all of the things. So with all of this, I guess the big question is, can you still go full-time with reselling? I think you could. There's a lot of caveats to that. I think that you technically could, especially if you played your cards right and like just had a really if you had a really like structured plan. And honestly, I still know people who are full-time resellers and who are doing fine. However, I think that if you are trying to decide if you should make the jump right now, I think you should hold off for a little while at least. I don't think that right now is the right time to go full-time into reselling. I think unless you have like a very, very, very cushioned bank account to help you kind of get through the rough times, it could work, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. I've just seen too many people leaving reselling in order to say like, yes, you should definitely do that full time. I spent my whole 20s building up my reselling business and honestly identifying as a reseller. It became part of who I am. Literally, I would be out, and I mean like this is a very niche me experience, but like I would be out thrifting and people would say, oh my god, you're per diem thrifts, or I'm at Posh Fest and people are like, you're per diem thrifts. Like that was who I am. I answered to that name. And so I'm at this point in my life now where I'm not into that anymore. Like I really don't want my whole world to revolve around reselling. If you guys do resell full-time or are thinking about it, or even like if it's just a big part of your life, you know that so much of your mental is taken up by reselling. You're thinking about sourcing, you're thinking about making sales, you have your notifications on so you get, you know, comments and likes and offers and all of these things. And as much as we wish that this job could be automated and put on the back burner so that it could just like flow by itself, most of the time, not all the time, I know there are some people who have it done, but most of the time this job is still taking up a lot of your energy. And I think, at least for myself, I can only speak for myself, I am kind of tired of putting my energy out into someone else's business. Like part of the reason why I wanted to work for myself was to work for myself, to build up my own thing. And while Poshmark kind of helped me do that, I was still feeding into Poshmark, and I don't necessarily want to do that anymore. It's not specifically against Poshmark, it's more of like I want to build my brand, my business, and I think there's so much more that we're capable of that we are, I guess, like limiting ourselves by if we're just following like a platform and what they want us to do, what they expect us to do, especially when they expect us to do it for free. But anyway, I digress. That's kind of like where my brain is. So what's my plan, right? Like I told you what I want to do, but what is my actual plan? I am trying to learn how to be an owner and not an operator. I have spent the last 4 years of being self-employed working for myself, which has been fine. You know, there's a time and place for everything, there are seasons for everything, but I am ready to just own a business and have it work for me. There's gonna be a lot of work that I need to do in order to get to that position where I'm just like coasting and I have a team. I'm starting to build my team right now. It's taken a little while and it's probably gonna, you know, see a lot of changes and a lot of updates as time goes on, but my goal right now is to become an owner, not an operator, and explore my other interests and explore who else I am and what else I can do. I feel like a lot of us have just been like, oh, that's blah blah blah, the reseller, or they resell, they thrift, they're a thrifter, they're this and this and this and this. We are all multi-dimensional beings. We are all multi-passionate beings who can't be defined just by like one role or one thing. And it's so funny because I think about this all the time. Like I named my brick and mortar store Vibe Consignment, and the tagline is what's your vibe? Because when people come in and they're asking for an outfit, I'm like, okay, well, what's the vibe? Or like, what's your vibe? How are we dressing? What's the, you know, what are we trying to get to? Because your vibe could be different from one day to the next. You know, maybe you're looking for a job for work, or you're looking for a job for a wedding, you're looking for a job for a birthday party. Like the vibe is always going to be different. I'm here to help you find the vibe. Same thing goes for my original business name, which was Per Diem Thrifts. I named that business because I learned about the term per diem, which is like an accounting term. It means per day, and it's in accounting terms, it's like an allowance that you get per day. But for me, I interpreted it as being who you need to be every day, because so many of us have multiple roles in life. Like I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, I'm a partner. At one point I was a student, I am a teacher, I am a social media person, I'm a content creator. Like the list goes on. And my closet, my reselling business, was about providing you with the outfits to help you be whatever role you need to be that day. And it's just funny because like my business has always focused around being a multi-passionate person or being a multi-dimensional person, somebody who can't just be defined by one specific thing, reselling. And I let reselling take over my whole life and be like the end-all be-all of who I was as a person. As I am exiting my 20s and now next year I'll be entering my 30s, it's just a very pivotal moment for me. I know it's not for everybody. For me, I'm like looking forward to entering my 30s and seeing like what the next chapter is, but I'm ready to kind of just drop the label of being a reseller and kind of see what else I'm capable of, what other passions call to me, what else I can do. And I think a lot of other people are on the same page as me, and that's why we're seeing this downfall in reselling. Everyone is quitting because they're realizing that this job, this role of being a reseller, it's almost like a parasite in the most like, this is such a negative view on it, but it's almost like having a parasite that festers inside of you and it just keeps growing and growing and growing until it takes over, and then you realize that you are not working for yourself. You're kind of like a slave to your business. And I know that this is not the truth for everyone, but unfortunately it's something that has happened to me and some of my, you know, close dear reseller friends, and I don't want it to happen to you. So that's why I'm saying, if you're thinking about reselling, do it as a hobby, okay? Do it as a little side hustle. Don't try to build it up right now. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind. Maybe in the future, you know, things will change and it will be a more accessible thing to happen, but I think that ship has sailed. The people who are successful now have, you know, established themselves or have means to keep themselves going. But if you're just like an average Joe, an average Jane, I think there are better options. All right, but anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, whether you are a full-time reseller or not. Let me know. I think there's a lot to be said about this topic of why everyone is leaving reselling, but this is just my 2 cents, my opinion. I think there's a lot more in store for me and for everyone else who's pivoting. I'm really excited to see where some other people go. I still follow people who said that they're not into reselling anymore and they're gonna try to do other things. Like, I'm still here. Like, I have friends who stopped reselling, but now they're raising their families and I get to see them, you know, raise their new babies and see their babies grow the way that they saw my baby grow. And it's just a beautiful, like, I'm always gonna be so thankful for the reselling community, for the opportunities that it gave me, for the friendships that I gained. But when it's time to let go, it is time to let go, and the longer you hold on, the harder it's gonna hurt. And I think right now is just a great, perfect actually moment to just cut ties and move forward. And by cut ties, I don't mean completely, at least for me. I'm definitely still gonna have it back here for when I need it, but it's not gonna encompass the whole business. Like, my business is not gonna revolve around being a reseller on Poshmark anymore. But anyway, I will quit rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys, I don't know, maybe enjoyed this video. But again, I do want to hear from you, so leave some comments down below and we will chat. And I will see you guys next time for another video. Bye!